So, yeah, so that's about physics. But a related question, of course, is that while you have been involved in the mathematical community quite visibly, not just within TIFR, but in the national scene. Uh, One thing that's visible is that the applied mathematics side of our activities, particularly in this country, hasn't been developed to the same extent as mathematics. Perhaps even probability and statistics, if you take as a subject, that has gone some, yeah. But what one would call applied mathematics hasn't really. Did you ever have any thoughts on that? Or did the question come up? Have people worried about it, thought
Yes,
about it?
very much.
Yeah.
But first, maybe shall we talk about national board now or later?
Right. No, national
First,
board
I'll say before applied
right,
mathematics,
right.
to put it in a
Yeah,
context.
oh, right.
I think in the 80s, the Department of Atomic Energy, for some historical reasons, Baba being the first chairman and Casey being there, was the one which was supporting mathematics
Right.
very substantially in Tata Institute and later IMSC, HRA and so on and so forth. But that support went to some particular institution with which this department was associated.
Right.
Then for some reasons one thought, and it's a more complicated story, but quickly I'll say, there should be a government organization which also gives support for mathematics in institutions outside the
Of
ambit
the
of
DAE,
DAE. And I must say at that time, the chairman of the Atomic Energy was very much for it. And then when we thought of what kind of organization should be made, what this should do, the person with whom I interacted was a joint secretary in DAE. He was not even science background, economics. He got really involved. See, one thing I found at that time was there's respect for mathematics in India, not in many countries. Anyway, they all, even the name National Board was suggested by the Joint Secretary. So what it does, as you know, it's not right for you, it gives, support for development in mathematics. For scholarships, fellowships, and conferences, and also some particular institutions.
Right.
There may be one or two mathematicians in a small isolated place to give them facilities for library and so on and so forth.
Right.
Okay?
All of that is being
All of that is. So I think Ramanan was also one of our collaboration, first collaboration, not first collaboration. Collaboration was in this. I was the first president.
and he was
I
the
think he was the
secretary.
secretary. One of the first trouble was you have to set up for the first time good rules and regulations which are flexible at the same time correct. People, if you don't have rules, people try to misuse it. On the other hand, you should be able to distribute money without too much of bureaucracy. So it was some time it took on that. It's also at that time the idea of Olympiads in mathematics was set up, and now of course Olympiads is done very well. And after I was there for about 4 or 5 years. Afterwards, I think it got a lot of support, and Raghunathan was doing the work for many years. And I can say, even apart from this small kind of distribution of funds, I think it has also helped some very important institutions in India by substantial contribution when they were in dire trouble.
Right.
Without that, it could not happen. Of course, Raghunathan must have played a role there. And if that sort of institution or setup was not there, nobody could have done anything.
Right. That's clear.
Yeah. And I should also say, probably the first fund-giving organization in any subject in India. Now we have this National Research Council of DST and so on. SCR.
Yeah.
It is only for mathematics.
Now they have something for biology.
Biology and everything later.
A little of this and that. Has
Yeah,
come up,
but I think the first one is this.
Yeah. This
now
is the
coming
first
back to your question of applied mathematics.
yes.
One of the first things I and 2 or 3 other people, including some applied mathematicians, were members of the NBHM, to do was to travel and meet in India different organizations, public sector and private sector, which are supposed to use mathematics, who need the applied mathematicians, to go and talk to them. What is the kind of mathematician they want? If they can tell us in 4 years, I want this kind of trained mathematicians in my institution, we will arrange for it. We will train them. You don't have to even say today that you will definitely offer them jobs. Okay? So they would only, private sector will not even talk to us. Okay? And public sector, some people showed interest. But it was all, they didn't understand what we were asking. One of the premier institutions which has to use a lot of mathematics, including numeric analysis, it happened in Bangalore. I'll tell you later what this institution is. So we asked, what do you want? We don't want anything. We want some computer programmer or something. We don't need anything more. So, I mean, how can you have? And in another institution, they said, the mathematician said, off the record, I don't know why we are here. They never ask us anything. And this reminds me of, I was talking to one factory manager, let's say, somebody like that, big shot. I said, do you have a research wing in your company? He said, of course we have one. And then, as a joke perhaps, he says, but hearing their advice, I will not use it in the shop floor. I mean, they think they're useless. They're useless.
Right.
So, so at this point, see, I think the main point is in any country, if applications, even physics or mathematics, has to be used at a high level, there should be an industrial development at a certain level. I mean, somebody has to use that. And if you just import everything and then now you say we want to make here, I mean.
But what you said, what you have said before to me, the French setting up of IMEA.
I'll tell you that. Yeah.
See, sometimes what might happen is that there may not be any clientele.
Exactly,
right now.
exactly.
Circumstances might change, and if you have set up the, can
Absolutely
you please elaborate
correct.
on that? I mean, the French experiment.
Yeah. So I'll explain this a little more.
Right.
This again, my friend J.L. Lyons, who was a student of Laurent Schwartz, purest of pure to start with. Then it's you set up now the big French school of applied mathematics.
Yes.
So he told me, to start with, he had a small organization which consists of some mathematicians, some engineers. The engineers can talk to the mathematicians, understand something. The engineers also can talk to people in the shop floor. So the engineer goes and asks them a question. If he can solve, he solves it. Otherwise, he takes it back to the mathematician. Hopefully, they can solve. This is the kind of setup. And the mathematicians were very good mathematicians. And he told me, for about 10 years, there were no takers. A small institution which was running. Then when the Airbus became very successful, other countries stopped giving it any technical information. So they have to hope that somewhere in their country they can find, and they found this, or maybe Lyons made himself known, or whatever it is. And then now there are about 40 institutions like that. So what you are saying is, even this institution was there without probably any hope or any future. Because it was there, I mean, they could tap that and their experience and then expand it.
Right.
Some 2 or 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I think Raghunan was also a member. One of the government organizations, I think, set up something which looks, which sounds very high level, task force in applied mathematics. Okay. So the members were all pure mathematicians, applied mathematicians, and some representative from some public sector units which use mathematics and so on. And then I was chairman. We all worked very hard and came with, I think what I think is excellent program, okay, with a very modest budget. I mean, not even something. And quoting, for example, this experience in France, that one could set up something like that. and many other recommendations. Let's not get into that. I think they were all very good recommendations, and it was done seriously by serious people taking trouble. Then even I went and presented this to the bosses there. So nothing happens. So I asked the person who was in charge, after a month or two, or maybe 6 months, what happened to our report? He said, your report was very much appreciated by the people here or something, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
So what can he do?
That's,
See, what I mean is, maybe I sent you already the report.
No, the report.
Yeah. So that tells you what one should do.
Right.
I mean, what more can you say?
Right, yeah. No, I know. I mean, I'm just trying to put it on
Yeah, I know.
record, the historical accident.
Yes.
That we have done well in certain ways,
Yeah.
but there are certain other areas where work needs to be done.
See, it seems, when applied mathematics was, Schwartz helped us very much in Tata Institute. It's you who arranged for us to go and so on, many people to come. When there was talk of applied mathematics, Schwartz said, I don't know much, ask Lians. And Lians did something, but somehow it didn't take off. I think that's a big problem, and I don't know.
Well, just to finish this topic, of course, the way, if you were to see the way funding situation is in the United States, basically everybody is being made to pretend that they
Yes,
are
yes.
applied mathematicians.
Yeah, they have to
Without
ma-
that, departments are being closed down, people are not getting. That's one way in which the government is twisting the arms of various people to say that you must do mathematics that is relevant. So,
See, I don't know
Yeah.
how things are for the last 15 or 20
Right.
years in India.
Right.
I mean, with the governmental circle, I have no too much contact.
Yeah.
Before that, I can tell you, you can say, I want to do something in mathematics, which may not have any applications, but this is my program. Can we have funds? And we used to get funds.
Right.
Because probably they also knew the people who were asking
Right.
already something, whatever it is.
Right.
Now, I don't know, everybody wants something immediately.
right.
How can you?
That's
I mean,
what
people
it
have to know some. See, when you do interdisciplinary, I used to joke, people should know well some disciplines before you can do
Right,
interdisciplinary
right,
things.
Yeah.
So I think, see, there's not much to start with. No, there's not too much to do in the sense, you can simply take the report which we gave, and somebody serious in the government can try to implement one after one. And as I said, it's not a huge budget to start with.
That is true, but in the recent times, maybe you can again, putting this on record will perhaps help that the funding for NBHM, even though it's not really a big budget, relatively speaking, is not being looked at with great deal of sympathy from what I understand. Chairman after chairman tell me that DAE hasn't been very sympathetic to large scale funding,
See, I think what's happening is, this is something very
Right.
maybe controversial. You see, essentially, till now, the people who are in charge in scientific departments were, at secretary level, are working scientists. I don't know now how it is and how they do. They were all decent people who try to do something. Now, what seems happening last few years, maybe even earlier, that bureaucrats want control. Okay, they say, okay, what do they know? They say, why mathematics? Why even fundamental physics? I mean, can you do laser or I don't know, nano is the latest.
Right.
At best.
Yeah.
The other people will say scientists are having a good time.
That's right. No, that view is taking much more of a front seat, so to say, compared to the other sort of voices that support fundamental kind of research and so on. Yeah.
Do you know there's one government rule, which I recognized, maybe it's still there, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that summer schools cannot be held in hill stations.
Right.
The idea being these guys want to go and have a nice time in these hill stations and so on. But I had one in Srinagar at that time. It was possible. So, of course, usually you think of Kashmir as some hill station and so on. So I told the Joint Secretary, Srinagar is not a hill station, it is a plain. He laughed, of course. He understood. This is the kind of attitude even before. Now, unfortunately, I think it is having effect.
Right.
I think that's what, I don't know what one should do. The scientists should do, and also I suppose what's happening is the scientists who are closely associated, they are not independent enough for something. I don't know. This you can quote me.
That's right. Yeah.
Let me get back in time. Let's talk about your stint at ICTP. So you went to ICTP in
91, 92.
91, 92. And it was Abdul Salam invited you to take this job. How did it happen?
I'll tell you. I went in 92. Even before, about 6 or 7 years ago, I knew already Abdul Salam. He said, will I go and start a department of mathematics? At that time, I said, some for personal reasons, I cannot go. He said, can you come for 6 months every year and do that? I said, if you want to start something from scratch, this 6 months business will not work. So it was left at that. Then around 90, I went to some other conference there, and then he invited me to lunch. And the first question he asked is, your children should be grown up. I must have said, my children are young or something like this. Now can you come? I said, yes, I can come. On condition I am in complete charge of, mathematics department and get as much support as the physics departments get. And I said, I know, you have to think about it. So I'll wait for a month or two before what you say. And then at the end of 20 days, as usual, telephone comes. I'll be grateful and honored, I don't know, forget it, if you can come to ICTP and take full charge of mathematics. He remembered what I had said, And I must say, he gave as much support. There was no problem at all. Mathematics was not treated separately from us. One of those, what's called, there's a name now, no? For these things, service department or something like this. It was not treated like that. And it was, for me, it was the most satisfying, one of the most satisfying periods, because many mathematicians, especially from China, who are now big mathematicians in China, they all benefited by that. So as you know, I'm sort of generally interested in developing mathematics in India as well as developing countries. When I was in India, East National Board and so on, I could do. When in Trier State, I had a larger kind of audience. And I know, with Salam, I had perfect, relationship. And ICTP, of course, I should say for others, it's the institution set up by originally Abdul Salam and now related to United Nations, UNESCO, mainly financed by the Italian government, which is, whose main purpose is to uplift the level of science in developing countries and also help them and so on.
And you didn't get involved with the Third World Academy of Sciences?
No, I didn't get
That
involved.
was also headquartered at ICTP?
Yeah, that sort of I avoided that. Okay, let me not say that. Although I got an award from them. So it still exists, huh? It's with a changed name.
Of course.
It's a changed name.
There is a Ramanujan Prize, I think, that they
Yeah.
administer.
No. It's not now administered.
Administered by ICTP.
Yeah, now
that
ICTP
is
and
a-
Indian government.
Indian government, I know,
But I
thought-
think next year Indian government's term comes to an end. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah.
I see.
No, ICTP used to give prizes earlier in mathematics and other things. But every year, for example, named after some well-known physicist or mathematician.
Right.
So it will change from year to year.
Oh, I see. Then come back again to the present of the education, and since you said that you have been always interested in development of mathematics, in India and then later in other developing countries through your stint at ICTP. But the one question that one has to sort of address, particularly in a country like India, is about undergraduate education, because as you know, the very large number of rather good students come to do their basic mathematics at the undergraduate level. In the last few years, there have been some opportunities to go and study undergraduate mathematics at some centers. But what do you think in general of where we are today relative to the rest of the world in terms of our level of undergraduate education and what we should be doing?
See, I mean, things have improved in the last, say, 30, 40 years. Undergraduate education could be given only in a small number of colleges here and there.
Right.
And some of them quite good.
Like you said, Loyola
Yeah,
College. we
some
go
of them
back
quite
to-
good, but
yes.
there were not many. There were only two colleges
Right.
in the whole of
Right,
Chennai,
right,
which could
yeah.
give you.
That's what I'm saying. Our numbers are very large.
Yeah. Now things have completely, I mean, I won't say completely changed. Things have changed. There are institutions who give high-level undergraduate training as well as anywhere in the world. CMI, ISC, ISI, and I'm sure there are other
Right,
places.
right,
Their standard is very nice. Incidentally, I'm told undergraduate education in US is not so good.
Of course. Yes, that's not so good. Undergraduate education in the US is not so good.
But once they come to graduate studies, that's a big jump.
Right, right. Yeah.
So in some sense, one should not bother about. Okay.
No,
So
no, undergraduate studies you pay. I mean, for example, Harvard undergraduate level, I'm told is not anything that's very impressive.
Yeah, and,
because there is some formula according to which you get into
and that's said by
program.
even by math. But somehow, when they come to the higher level
Right.
of
That's
PhD
right.
level,
Right.
they somehow seem to make a huge jump.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's because the faculty quality
Faculty
already
quality
is high.
is high.
They are sort of, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of, I think that is the, so it's good, okay? I'll tell you, there's also some other component of this. But if you see most of the other institutions would give undergraduate education, like, in colleges and so on, many of them, I don't think things have improved. In some sense, in many places, at least there used to be good teachers in some of these colleges. That seems to be less and less. I'm told one of the reasons is they are not paid. I mean, most of these people are employed as a contract. I mean, how could you expect anybody to go? They don't care, and probably students don't care. They want a degree at the end of the year. So, undergraduate education, I think a lot has to be done, at least to increase the number of such places. You see, forget you cannot find a global solution right away. If there are 10 places, let's say in about 5 years or 10 years, we'll make 40 places.
Right. That's what I was asking.
That
So
is
that's
what
of
one
the-
should do, because if you get into this thing, I mean, the education now has become a commodity, it's a kind of business. You cannot do anything because they have so much of power with the people in power that.
Right. Yeah.
But what we could still do is try to increase the number of places. What this good, and that's also increase the funding. Somebody asked me, what about funding of science in India? I said, I don't know now, but in any case, the amount has to be increased.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever you gave percentage about 40 years ago, it cannot be done. But as far as I see, nobody thinks about these things seriously. I mean, either at the undergraduate level or applied mathematics, I told you my experience, or generally science, then I don't know. I think undergraduate, I think it has to be done something carefully, with given a lot of thought, knowing the situation. See, I will tell you one instance which was somewhat touching for me. There was somebody who was teaching in a college somewhere, maybe South India. He somehow came to see me here, and he said, frankly, I'm supposed to teach group theory. I don't understand what it's all about.
But that's the situation with many.
It's at least this fellow realizes. Other people may not even realize that.
Right. Yeah, many others, of course, will perhaps look up a book
And say something and so on.
Yeah.
So it's a very complicated thing, and I don't think one can probably do too much. But as I would say, increase the number of people were taught properly.
But that's a question that goes back to something that Professor Raghunathan was also saying before, namely, the government has set up, as you know, number of these new ICERs. Some of these ICERs have done very well in terms of building good math departments. Some others haven't been very successful. Now, I recall before these ICERs were set up, when people were sort of just saying that we'll do this, the scientific community or the academic community was completely divided. Some people thought we just don't have the human resources to be going ahead and doing this, and some others felt that, look, anyway, let's do it and then see what happens. Which side do you belong to? I mean, because it's
yeah, I think we should try to do something.
yeah,
But at the same time, in ICER, from what I understand, I'm from a distance,
right.
some of the ICERs have succeeded. And
They
some
have
of them
succeeded
has
very
not
well.
succeeded.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
succeeded very well.
Right.
One should see why they succeeded, why others didn't succeed. Of course, it's also probably true there is not enough high-level teaching faculty available now
In the country, as a
in the
whole.
country.
Yeah.
And that to a large extent is due to so-called brain drain. See, now what's happening is the undergraduates are trained very well in some of the institutions. The American universities know these guys are very good. These women or these boys are very good. So they immediately take them. And of course, some of the young people also know they can go to US or something if you go into one of these systems. And then they're lost. See, I could say in my generation, there were of course one or two great Indian mathematicians outside, but most of the known mathematicians were in India. This is no longer true.
That's true. That's true.
So, you see, in other words, many of these people are supposed to take even some lower level of academic job, then to come to India or something like that. So, I mean, that's one of the problems.
That is true, because I'm not sure if you are aware, but there is a University of Chicago, for example, has set up a program called 100 Indians. And
Oh, I see, I didn't know.
They're sending out pamphlets. In fact, we recommended some people. So they will provide education, this, that. The institute simply has to recommend.
See,
Some of their good.
I mean, there's nothing wrong in these people going and studying in the best places. But very small people will come back and the good people will stay. I think we still need, more high level, not high level, at least very competent level mathematicians or scientists who can teach in these places. Because I find that ICER is fairly good setup and you can do many things, and some people have, as you say, done it.
Right. Yeah, no, that is yeah.
Basically, to demonstrate, the expansion should be gradual.
See, Raghunathan, that's also difficult. You say one ICER, okay? Suppose you start. Either it fails or does very well.
Difficult. So
Yeah.
that's what I have always thought. When you are making decisions in large scale,
No,
What,
but the
yeah.
problem is when you they set up ICERs for political reasons, because this state wants it, that state wants it. So let me ask you, how do you view mathematics as a whole? I mean, in sense, there are people like Grothendieck who approach mathematics in a certain way. There are others who are problem solvers who do it in a different way and so on. I suppose you admire Grothendieck without any reservations. And do you think that's the right kind? That's the only kind of thing that should be done. So that's good.
No, I'll talk about Grothendieck. Okay, first. I don't think there's only one way of doing mathematics. Okay, as you said, there are two kinds of mathematicians, which even not only you and Grothendieck says. One are problem solvers and one are theory builders. He gives an example. Suppose you have a nut and you want to separate the kernel from the whole thing. He says there are two ways of doing it. One is to take a hammer and then hit it and come out. The second is to soak it in some liquid. After some time, you can simply peel off. Okay? So the first is the problem solvers, and the second is problem solvers also need some capacity. While Grothendieck is the second kind. Now, so what is important about Grothendieck in my view and also I say how I had to sort of come to terms with Grothendieck in some sense and use it. So, as you know, she was an amazing mathematician who revolutionized algebraic geometry and gave techniques and as well as ideas in algebraic geometry which helped to solve problems in number theory like Fermat's last theorem and so on. Now, everybody will say he is very abstract. Okay? The point I found was, when I studied him, he never uses too much generality. He uses some of the right kind of generality and abstraction. Okay? And the other thing I found was, this will look like a sort of controversial statement. Grothendieck has made algebraic geometry easier than the earlier one. Now everybody will say it's so abstract. Because I tried to read some of the great, supposed to be great books by very great, I couldn't get any idea of what was going on. I mean, it's a sort of going on and sort of making. So this one has made it easier. That's why younger generation now finds it much easier to learn it that way. And so, I mean, one of the things he did, though it was not directly, see, there is this number theory and then there is this Riemann surfaces, function fields. There was an analogy which people knew for a long time, like Kronecker and others. And they said there should be one theory which has special case number theory on the one side and algebraic geometry on the other side, usual algebraic geometry of this. And Andre Weil again insisted about that. This is what Grothendieck's theory of schemes did. So instead of having coefficients field or something, you said any commutative you can do that. But it needs, of course, technical capacity to do that and correct notions. Now if you see, almost everybody writes only in the Grothendieck language. Every younger generation. Now, you see, the one trouble is EGA used one element geometry algebraic. I don't think we want to start reading it, okay? But it contains everything you want in some sense. But what I myself, okay, let me say how I had to go near Grothendieck. Of course, I knew about Grothendieck. I'd even talked to him when I was in France, when I was reading the deformations paper. Somebody told me he has his own approach and went and asked him. He didn't know who I was not anybody known. And he was prepared to talk to me for 2 hours explaining his theory. I mean, he said he had no self-importance or something like this. Okay, that is by side. So, see, when I finished my work with Seshadri, I had some rudiments of algebraic geometry, like a bit of Sayre and here and there. But when I started working more, and also as I said, our paper used a bit of algebraic geometry, a bit of differential geometry and so on. But later when I started working, especially with Ramanan, I found one has to know the techniques and ideas of Grothendieck if you want to make a progress. Because he has also given so many techniques. That's what I mean by saying he has made algebraic geometry easier. You know, once you get the techniques, you have to use, as they used to say in the old days during the quantum mechanics, they said any second-rate fellow can do high-rate work because there was a new field coming in, like these new ideas were coming here. So I said, okay, I should learn. So first, I read something, at that time read book, now there are no first book, like a student. And then luckily what happens is, Grothendieck has done one thing. He has given some seminars, Bourbaki seminars, in which he summarized many of his important ideas with some idea of proof. It's not just statements. It's called Fundamentals of Algebraic Geometry. So I used to read, I read French. Luckily, I have no problem with French. I used to read it from cover to cover. I used to read one lecture or half a lecture and come and lecture to A. Ramanathan in the afternoon so that I see whether I understood it. So that gave me an immediate insight into his way of thinking and all the important techniques. And this, I had to use it. Without that, we could not have gone that far. I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, he has given enough techniques, simplified algebraic geometry. This will look like a very controversial statement. And I mean, techniques and ideas. And one more thing about his personality, apart from his mathematics, there are two things, okay? You know, he left mathematics at the height of his power.
Right.
So why did he leave it? Of course, there are two opinions. I don't know which is correct and which is not correct. One is he was very unhappy with the corruption and lack of ethics of scientific establishment. This is one words. And he says there is also too much competition, which is a deterrent to creative research, because you want your name, you know, before it, so on and so forth. So that is his thing with the scientific community.
Right.
And of course, he was also a pacifist, and he had sympathy for the underprivileged and so on and so forth, anti-militarist and so on.
Right.
So people say, okay, he was just fed up with this community and then left it. In fact, he almost completely cut off his.
Right, right.
The other theory, some people say, which is a more facile theory, is that he worked so hard. I mean, Schwartz used to say, Grothendieck has 25 hours in a day. And he explained to me, you know, there are some organisms which really can make 24 as 25, and I'm not joking. Anyway, that means you worked so hard for 25 years or 30 years, so you're likely to have a breakdown.
Right, right.
So that's another explanation. I don't know which is right.
Right.
Okay? So anyway, I think one thing is clear. Without Grothendieck, algebraic geometry would not be what it is today. And of course, also its influence in number theory. I mean, not direct influence, its techniques
Right.
influence. And for me, it was very clear. Without Grothendieck, I could not have gone further, at least in that field.
Well, that's what I always thought, that you felt that had a very, very non-trivial role to play in your work. So,
Yeah.
Which is, of course, not always obvious, but
It is there, hidden. You know,
Right,
now you say
exactly.
Grothendieck, you don't
Right.
even see, nowadays, you don't even, quote Grothendieck by name, Grothendieck-Riemann-Roch theorem,
right.
because he will have a small number of citation index, because it's also part of the whole culture.
Right, right.
You simply say by this result.
Right. Professor Narasimhan, thank you very much for these comments and your thoughts on a variety of topics. As you know, some of these issues and questions we have discussed over the past many years. I have been always rather eager to ask you specifically your understanding of the very complex situation that prevails in our country involving mathematics education and research. I am very happy that we had this opportunity to ask you in detail what you think of these questions. Thank you very much for giving us your very insightful understanding of the situation.
Professor Raghunathan and Gadadhar Mishra, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on mathematics and organization of mathematics. And also I should thank you for your insightful questions, which made it easier for me to start thinking and answer this. Thank you again.